Going on, my favorite agents in the whole wide world? Colin here, and today is day 8 of our new series called Let Me Read the Book For You, and this is going to be about objection handling basics, guys. How do I handle objections? When somebody tells me something is wrong, how do I handle it? And we're going to talk about that today. I love handling objections. I got to be honest, most of this isn't from the book. Most of this is me, but I've been doing sales management for a long time, and it's actually really, really easy, okay? Objections, first and foremost, are not bad. Okay, just get that out of your head. If somebody tells you no or brings up some reason they can't do business with you, that is not a bad thing. That means they are listening to you and they are engaged and they just have an issue with what you're saying. Okay, everybody hears at some time, I'm not interested, I've already got an agent, something like that. Those are objections, guys. And objections are not rejection. Okay, it does not mean they hate you. It's not mean the whole thing's over. It's just an opportunity to educate them and move closer to that trust that you want to get. An objection just means, hey, I'm not ready to trust you yet. And buying a house and picking a spouse are two of the biggest things people can do. And you're gonna have to overcome you're gonna have to make sure you engage and have some trust. Okay. So today I want to talk about how I handling common objections and how to keep the conversation moving, okay? Like I said, the first thing you have to do is reframe how you view objections, guys. Objections don't mean I hate you. It means they're curious. They have some fear. They have lack of information. That's a really big one. And it's really important when somebody gives you an objection that you don't argue. Not everybody has that kind of rejection. I'm going to argue with you why you shouldn't reject me. I kind of do. It's hard for me not to, like, wait a minute, when you don't think I'm the greatest thing in the world, but you can't argue. That's first rule when it comes to handling objections. You have to stay calm. I always joke with this is actually the rule in my house. If you ask my daughters or my wife, what is rule number one? And rule number one in our house is do not panic. Don't panic. Panicking always makes everything worse. So if something happens, you got to stay calm, guys. That's rule number one. You need to stay confident. Hey, just because they rejected you doesn't mean you're not great. All right. And you have to be curious. You have to try and figure out why they said that to you. Why do you have that objection? Okay. You need to always seek to understand before you respond. I've said that 1,000 times, guys. You need to be asking questions before you just start running your mouth. All right. So the big three objections that everybody always gets in real estate, and we're going to talk a little bit how to handle these, is already have an agent. I'm just looking, I'm not ready, and I don't want to pay a commission, right? I want to sell my own house, or do I have to pay you? All that kind of stuff. So here is my core objection handling formula, okay? First thing you have to do is you have to validate their concerns. You have to acknowledge, guys. Whenever somebody says something to you, you're like, man, I totally get that. I completely understand. Then I said the second thing is get clarity. Ask a question. So you need to acknowledge it, then you need to ask a question. Out of curiosity, what's the most important thing to you in this objection, whatever it might be? Then after you've asked your question and you've gotten some clarity, then you need to add value because you're going to find out very quickly where they're missing information, what their fear is, what their concern is. So you need to solve that by adding value, not by telling them, oh, no, that'll never happen. You need to explain why. You need to explain how you're going to get through that. That's the value add that you need in there. And then the next thing you have to do is advance the conversation. This is a really interesting thing because I would tell my agents, you don't make sales the first time. And whenever I say close, I mean you need to close to an advanced action. What is my next step with you guys? So a lot of times I tell people, hey, look, I want you to go into this and I want you just to close to a follow-up meeting. I want you to close to a phone call. I want you to close these guys to get a CMA. I want you to do something along those lines where you have a next step. It doesn't have to be, you got to work with me. That's not the close. The close can be as simple as like, hey, can I call you back next week? If they say yes to that, that is a close. You have closed them on an idea of something you wanted to do, and that's a fine step. It doesn't have to be there. I said it in the video, guys. You don't make sales on number one, call number one, call number two. It's always the 5th, 6th, 8th, 10th call where you actually get things done. Okay, so here are some examples, guys. Is number one, great, I already have an agent. Oh, fantastic. Out of curiosity, are you committed to them exclusively or do you want to explore some more options? Or how did you find them? Listen, listen, listen. Add your value with whatever they say and then close to your next step. Okay? I'm not ready. I totally understand. What timeline feels right for you? Well, I was thinking I could do this, this, and that. That's fine. That's why we have the CRM, guys. I remember early on in my sales career, I used to get so frustrated when I would close to a meeting and the meeting would be like 6 months down the road. And I'm like, oh, I'm so frustrated because that's so long to get there. But guys, remember that pipeline I was talking about? That's just something I'm cramming in this into the pipeline, and eventually it will come out the other end. If you set 1,000 appointments for 6 months from now, in 6 months, you're going to be really busy. So you just keep doing that. So month 6, month 7, month 8, you're busy all of those months, and you'll find a couple in between now and then. So don't worry about getting put off. That's what your CRM is for, okay? I don't want to pay commissions. I hear you. That's great news. Once we net out the repairs, sometimes you get some more money, right? We're going to ask questions about why they don't want to pay the commission. So I think I can make more money. You sure? Because a lot of people think that, right? And you go through explanation on that. That was a terrible answer, but you get where I'm going with this, okay? So as you're handling objections, here's a couple things I need you to know about handling objections. Number one, confidence is better than any memorized answer. I see so many sales guys selling like decks of cards. It's like, here's all your objections. You can just practice handling them one over and over again. And it's always this rote response. And I hate that. I'm not saying it's not important to have that information. Sometimes you need to get over some BS objections. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I don't like that. I'd rather you be confident. I'd rather you know where you're going with this thing. I want you to acknowledge it. I want you to ask clarifying questions, and I want you to add value to it, because no matter what, if you do those three things and then close to a next step, you're going to move the ball down the field, and you don't get a first down every play, okay? The next thing is calm curiosity will lower their defenses. If you stay calm and you're legitimately curious, it's hard to be nervous when your mind's on service. I've said it a million times in my life. I'll say it a million more. If I'm legitimately curious, it will disarm them and you will help build some trust, okay? The last thing is it's your job to keep the door open, not slam it shut. That's why we close to the next. That's why we're trying to move this ball down the field. If it's 2 yards at a time, that's completely fine. We will eventually get to where we need to go to. So here's what I want you to do for your call to action today. I want you to write down 3 objections that scare you the most. Okay? 3 objections that scare you the most. And then I want you to come up with a way to acknowledge them. And then I want you to come up with a question that you can ask that will move the ball down the field. That's what I want you to go with, guys. I want you to ask those 2 questions. I want you to do those 2 things, and I want you to write them down. If you have any that you want some help with, guys, put them in the comments on this video, and I will come back in and I will come up with ways that I would handle those objections, and hopefully that'll help you out. And then what I want you to do is I want you to find a friend and practice. If it's your spouse, great. If it's your kid, great. Actually, it's really good doing it with kids, and the younger the better, because you're going to have to ask questions about why they're going to do it. They're going to have a hard time answering it, but you'll learn a lot about your kids. And if you're doing it with really young kids, don't practice on buying your house. Have them tell you some concern that they have about whatever it is, about school, about doing their homework, about whatever it might be, and practice handling those objections by acknowledging it, asking a clarifying question, okay, then adding value, and then seeing if you can get to the next round of that thing, okay? So I want you to write down 3 objections that you fear the most, and I want you to share them with me if you've got objections you can't do, if you just want to put them in the comments so I can review them and say whether or not I like that or not. But that's what I want you to do for this day, is I want you to get through the 3 that you handled. And then I want to add in, so that's your call to action. That's what I want you to do today, 3 objections. The second thing that I want to make sure that everybody has is if you notice you're getting a lot of objections and it's always the same objection. This is a tip from your old Uncle Colin here. If you keep running into the same objection, there's a rule of thumb I used to teach a lot, that whoever gets to the objection first wins. So if you find out that as you call people, you keep running into the same objection, you need to work that in before they come up with that objection. If you've noticed, like, hey, I've already got an agent, or that seems to be the same problem that you're always working with, you need to say that first. Say, hey, man, I'm sure you've already got an agent, maybe some family member that you really work with. Do you have anybody like that? So you're saying the objection before they do. If you say that, you've got them on their heels, and now you can handle that objection a little bit better. So that's a tip for a later day. But today, write down your 3 objections. Come up with the way you're going to validate it and the way you're going to qualify it afterwards. You're going to ask that question. That's what I want you to do, because it's going to get your head in the right headspace, so that way future objections don't stop you. All right, guys, I will see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow for day number 9.